Alright, we're back. I looked at some stuff, and it turns out I just didn't... There was one place I didn't look. And if I remember it, there is a boss fight right through here. Let's see if I can beat it without healing. So, I have something new I want to talk about this time. See, I have a buddy of mine who's trying to get me into playing Roblox, by abusing the fact that I like JoJo. This is certainly a way to fight a boss.
Well, you have my total attention now. I'm not quite sure if I've got yours, though. Hello?
I'll heel and hide you to a barn door yet.
Of course.
You and that driveling piece of the Skion. You want to keep it so bad, I'll harness it right up your...
Wait. We're talking about the artifact here?
Damn straight we are, right up.
Hold on. I'm sorry. This piece, you say. Where's the rest?
Miss Natla put Pierre DuPont on that trail.
And where is that?
Ha! You ain't fast enough for him.
So you think all this talking is just holding me up?
I don't know where his little jackrabbit frog legs are running him to. You'll have to ask Miss Natla.
Thank you. I will.
Oh, I didn't find any of the secrets. Oh well. I find it charming that they didn't redo the FMVs.
Relocated now to St. Francis's Folly, new temptations torment me. Rumor amongst my
fellow brothers is that entombed beneath our monastery is the body of Teoken, one of the three legendary rulers of the lost continent Atlantis, and that with him lies his piece of the Atlantean Skion, a pendant divided and shared between the three rulers, which curbs tremendous powers. Powers beyond the Creator himself. My toes sweat at such possibilities, lying so close to my mortal self. Each night, I beat myself rid of these fantasies, but it is indeed a test.
Pierre, you litterbug.
Alright, this is where the episode technically should have started, but here we are. So. Wrong button. Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here. So anyway. As I was saying, I got a buddy of mine who's trying to get me into Roblox by using my, affinity for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure against me. And I was looking into the thing that he wants me to play. And I noticed that out of all the fucking stands in it, there's fucking Beach Boy? And like, why are you here? I remembered that I love that fishing rod. But not for reasons because of what actually happens in the show. See, I was showing it... Oh, my dog requires lap time. Ow. See, I was showing a couple friends some of my older videos, and I remembered that I actually do have some stories from, my time DMing things. And this is gonna be another one of those. So, why am I on this? There's really nothing for me to do up here. So, let's go back to the JoJo campaign I did. And how, like, if, now the video I first made talking about it, about the ducks, was years ago. So, for a quick recap, one of my players had a stand called Wheel in the Sky. And what this stand did is it gave him 2 dice he could roll from upon summoning the stand. Either a D6 or a D100. And this determined what the stand did upon being called out. He can either roll the D100 and get a totally random stand, or he could save some stands to the D6 and roll off of that. Simple enough, right? Well, one of the stands he had saved to the D6 was Beach Boy, because we realized that this stand is very, very silly and kind of OP. It's just used by someone who doesn't really know what to do with it. Now, Beach Boy's basic abilities, for those unfamiliar and haven't seen Part 5, this is like a mostly spoiler-free introduction to the fishing rod, is that it is a fishing rod that can be telepathic, where the hook can be telepathically controlled by the user. And, whoa, there is someone there. I saw someone moving. Where are you? There you fucking are. Oh. Shot me out of the fucking air. Have I saved? No. Whoops. But he... And he can use this to, like, pull things around, manipulate the environment, all that. And effectively, this means that the fishing rod is more or less just this heat-seeking missile. That was the wrong way. Alright. I'm just getting into position, don't mind me. This isn't that much of a boss fight, so I don't care too much if I fuck up. What? Laura.
Well, you have my total attention.
There we go. Alright. Now we're gonna be smart this time. Alright. So, now, on paper, this doesn't sound like much. It's a fishing rod, you know? What are you gonna do with that, huh? Ow. But, see, what we learned real quick is that this actually lets it do some pretty wild stuff. Especially since the user of it is a Hunter x Hunter fan. And that series The first few arcs of that series showcase what you can do if you have a magic fishing rod. Or at least you can magically enhance one. You know? Now, this led... I don't remember any exact specifics on any, like, one thing he did, mind. But this did lead to some very silly situations where, like, I kind of had to account for the fact that he had a fishing rod because he could just whip it out, toss the line, and just catch some pretty crazy things out of position. Like, for example, there was one fight he got into against a vampire. Now, this vampire's primary thing he would do is that he could shoot out his arm hairs as needles. And he is a trained sniper, or at least was when he was alive. So, this meant that we're talking about someone where, we're talking about someone who could get into any position and just let loose with whatever he wanted to, what is it? Oh yeah, and he could just let loose with whatever it was he wanted to shoot at. And this vampire did get a fight earlier in the campaign. Asterisk, it wasn't really a fight. Because I had one player who just could not care less about his abilities because his stand, I didn't realize when he made it, just automatically countered this because, it drew aggression into itself and was also on fire, so the hairs just kind of burnt up right then and there. Whoops. But, so I was annoyed DM. And I had this thing come back because hurdy-dur, y'all never checked the body, da-da-da-da-da-da. And at the time, my player is like, dude, that's bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I am salty. But, so what he did is when he realized this vampire was there, he went from place to place trying to find somewhere to hide out, but he was in the forest and the sniper was in the trees and he couldn't quite find him. Now, one of the other stands, so the first time he rolled his d6, he didn't actually get Beach Boy, he got Harvest. And basically, for those unfamiliar, Harvest is just like a swarm of bugs. Not much else to say there, honestly. So he got the swarm of bugs. And he used it to scout out the trees and look for where the guy was hiding. Well, when Harvest found the guy, he rolled the d6 again, and was kinda hoping that he would get the star platinum he had saved so that he could just time stop and cheese the fight. Because that is one of the things he got. Y'all like a 94 and that rolled star platinum? What do you want me to do? But no, instead he got Beach Boy. And he didn't want to re-roll. Like I said in the other video, this is someone who actually is fairly experienced with tabletop games. So he knew that just re-rolling over and over again and using his turns to do that wasn't interesting. it wasn't fun. It was way better to just take what you got. So, he was sitting there thinking to himself, alright, I have Beach Boy, what can I do with this? And he had a realization. Beach Boy can do trick shots. In the opening scene of Hunter x Hunter, we see the protagonist Gon use his fishing rod and wrap it around this giant tree multiple times to pull up this huge fish. And supposedly that's before he had any magical powers, just really good fishing wire. Okay, kid. So, my player was thinking back to that, and he was like, now wait a minute, why can't I just do the same thing here? So, he knew roughly where the sniper was thanks to Harvest, but didn't have a line of sight on him anymore. So he flicked out the fishing rod, not necessarily aiming to get him. He flicked it out sideways instead of overhead. Now, the idea here was pretty simple. He would just whip it around the trees and have it keep going. And the sniper, of course, would reposition every time he missed. But the player had kind of set up this, like, nice little web where every time the fishing rod had missed, then part of it was still there, you know? Oh, that's how this works. Okay. The fishing rod was still there, he was just moving the rod itself around to redirect the wire. Now, the first time he caught the vampire, it's a... Dang it. Lara? There you go. Now, the first time he caught the vampire, it's not like he, Oh, damn it. It's not like, you know, that was it, there goes the boss. Right? I'm not that much of a hack. But, so this became kind of a, well, there we go. Okay. I'm pretty sure I can make this jump. Alright, now, yeah, it looks like I can make it. Nope. There we go. There we go! I don't feel like making that jump again. Alright. Like, I think the first time he got the guy, the vampire noticed what had hit him, and, like, he only managed to nick him the first time. And the vampire just darted off and went, no, I'm not dealing with that. And thus started the game of cat and mouse over again. But even though the vampire was learning, hey, this kid has some weird power that makes it so that he can attack me from afar, this vampire can't see stands. And that was kind of the main advantage that my players had against the vampire faction. There were multiple villain factions in this campaign, don't worry about it. Is that none of them could see stands initially. So, that meant that they could so that meant that both sides had abilities that the other one couldn't really contest with. But that is not at all what I intended to do, but here we are, I guess. But this player also had one other advantage. See, as a DM, I like to give my players customization options. I like to give them customization options. So, when it came to, so in this town, there were ways to gain powers other than what you started with. And one of them is Hamon. See, in the other video, I mentioned that one of my players was a Hamon master. He wasn't actually... Dang it. He wasn't actually working with the local dojo. Instead, he was an out-of-towner who got called in because of reports about vampires there, and the people in town wanted some backup because they didn't really know anything about what was happening. Well, there was still those people actually from the town. And that player specifically had encountered them in rather amusing ways I'll get to in a bit here, because that I will get way too derailed if I do that now. So, what ended up happening is that once that player figured out how he could hook this vampire without it noticing what was going on, because I ruled that even though they can't really see sands, they could still, like, feel the presence of them in sort of like a very, what's the word? Or what is it? In this very Fist of the North Star, I can detect your fighting spirit type deal. Was this the one with spikes at the end? No, it's one with water at... That's a crocodile. I'm not lingering here any longer than I have to. Hello, Mr. Crocodile. I am friend, not food. Thank you. There we go. Now. Ooh. A secret. Nice. Oh, shit. No. Alright. So, he had been slowly learning how to use Hamon. But, instead of, like, white or yellow or whatever, his Hamon came out black. Due to some, let's say, plot shenanigans I was doing with his character. Because of some stuff we agreed on earlier. Now, so he figured out that, once he actually got the vampire hooked, he asked me, hey, can I charge my Hamon through, the fishing rod? And there was a brief moment where I didn't know how to answer the question, just because this is simply a question that I would have never considered someone could ask in the first place. Like... like, we're already kinda reaching silly levels here, you feel me? What do you expect me to do? So I thought on it. I knew exactly what he had planned. But other than being salty about, like, my boss getting cheesed a second time, I couldn't really think of a reason to say no. And that's not a very good reason to say no. Like, yeah, I could have just told him to piss off, for balance reasons. But fuck it, you know? So I said, yeah, sure, why not? And he did exactly what I knew he was going to do. And just let her fucking rip. The vampire could feel like he knew something had caught him. He didn't know what it was. Oh, this level! Oh, if this is where I think I am, this is actually, like, low-key my favorite level in the game. But he also could feel the Hammon coursing through it, and knew that he was about to have a really bad time. So, he did the only thing he could think of, and just lobbed off the arm that the fishing hook was attached to. Because he didn't know what else to do. He couldn't even feel or he couldn't even see whatever it was that was hooked onto him. So, once that arm was lobbed off, he ran away, or he ran off back into the trees, and the two had a brief conversation, with the vampire asking the kid, okay, what the hell are you? And the kid was just like, well, I'm Kiki. I'm just, and, you know, try and play it off like, no, I'm just a kid. And this vampire was not having it. He knew that there was something else going on. And tried to be like, what is this power? And Kiki just shrugged it off. You know, again, still playing it off like, no, I'm just a kid. And this guy, he knew better. He knew something had to happen. But he knew this kid wasn't gonna talk. So, he showed himself in front of my player one last time, arm pointed right at him, ready to send a full salvo into this kid, come hell or high water. And my player asks me something that I wasn't prepared for. I would like to re-roll my stand. Because we agreed he could do that at any time, just re-roll. I'm gonna do this one first, because this is the one I remember. Now, what he ended up doing... Oh, I guess those aren't active yet. Okay. And he rolled decently high. I think he rolled in, like, the 70s. So I asked him, alright, how anime do you want this to be? And he just gave me this look. And I knew what the answer was. He rolled Planet Waves. Now, Planet Waves is a stand from Part 6 that is used by a minor antagonist and is one of the more absurd stands in the game. Not in the game, in the series. Because what it does is it attracts meteorites in the sky to fall towards the user. And he dropped one right on this vampire's head. And once the headless body fell to the ground, he just did the Hammon equivalent of a double tap. You know, just go in there, lay on hands, shock him with Hammon until there's nothing left. And after the boss fight, he just looked at me and went, I checked the body. I don't know why it was annoyed with me. And like, it's funny too, because the circumstances around him meeting the, like, local Hamon dojo for that town pretty much comes down to the fact that his character lives in, like, the main hub that I gave my players. Because I knew that this would be a really non-linear campaign, so I wanted them to have a central hub they can go to just to signal to me, hey, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Please make plot happen. And that is exactly how I used that place. I'll heal up. Just, you can go there whenever, and I will make plot happen. You will encounter something, and start a quest. And one of the first people that, and since one of my players lived there, that means he kind of got stuck on side quest duty for a lot of things. Which is fine. He seemed to enjoy being in that position, or playing that role for the party. So, so one of the first people he met was someone that they would later call, or that would later become to known as Bike Guy. And Bike Guy, Jock and Jorda, ignore the name, was one of the people from the local Hamon dojo. And he was called that because he had a sick-ass motorcycle. And also, there was a running joke of him not being able to phrase anything worth a damn. So he kept accidentally making it sound like he was kind of a pedo, when really he's just... When really he's just a himbo that isn't thinking about what he's saying. So... actually, no. I think I want to do it from standing? Yeah. So, that led towards him learning about the Hamon dojo and starting to train there, and the leader of that dojo, I think I called him a Tosumaru, was... Oh, right, this is how Thor worked. Ow. When was the last time I saved? Right outside of Damocles? That checks. And he had noticed the black Hamon and was like, that's weird, that's eerie, that's not good. So, he agreed to... Initially, he just agreed to take the kid on because of, like, typical martial arts youth group reasons. Yeah, I want you to... Yeah, I'm cool with you training here and learning discipline because it's that or join a gang and no one wants that. But once the black Hamon was found out, and people started to realize that this kid was a magnet for weird shit, yeah, he was officially taken on as one of the members and not just the guy that they trained as part of their martial arts program. Because, like, it did martial arts training beyond just Hamon. It was, like... Fair enough. It actually was, like, an official business and all that. But... yeah, There was a... Its main thing was just, if people wanted to learn Hamon, here's how you can learn it. And the investigation of the Black Hamon ultimately was because me and that player talked, and we agreed that he would start with a MacGuffin in his inventory. a spell book of sorts that was tied to a darker power that he would slowly be learning about and inheriting. That was like the true awakening for his stand. Okay, that's when I start walking. Got it. No, I'm not healing before this. I would rather just learn when to start walking, you know? But, Laura? Laura, you've done this. There we go. So, which, admittedly, that didn't really end up going anywhere because the plot went in other directions and things had to happen before he could fully fulfill that. But that's a story for another time. Either way, because of this guy's shenanigans and how he was able to, like, make the most out of this goofy-ass fishing rod of all things. Beach Boy kinda ended up becoming one of my favorite stands, even though, like, even though it doesn't really end up doing anything in Part 5, just because, yeah, holy shit, this stand is kinda OP. It's just typical JoJo balancing. The more powerful a stand is, the less likely its user is able to utilize it effectively. Okay, now I'm healing because, yeah. Okay, Laura. I need you to navigate. I need my camera back. Ugh. And that kind of goes to show that, like, and it kind of, I think that affected me a lot as a writer, too, because now I'm in a position where I have a fair number of characters in, like, my writing and my world building and all that, who have truly insane power sets that they just never make the most out of, because doing so would require them to think about things in a way that they just don't. Anywho, I think I'm gonna round it off there. And I will see you guys next time.